Hi, this is Future Skull here. I would like to, right now, just reiterate that everything in this video is my personal subjective opinion. Okay? Make your own. Bye. Enjoy the video.
There is a saying, there is no one who hates women more than other women. And at first glance, you might think that's very sexist. And maybe it is. It's a very
Yeah, it's very true, actually. Because women see other women as competition, and yeah, it's whole women's social structure is completely different to a male social structure, and VTubing is a good example of that, and you'll see why.
generalized quote
He goes
within the
into
same
detail.
realm as never ask a white supremacist the color of their girlfriend. I think both
Yeah,
are
don't.
funny, but I think both also has a bit of truth in them, especially in
Oh
the
yeah,
fierce,
they
mentally
absolutely do.
ill female-dominated industry that is VTubing. See, in VTubing, there are two types of Google Docs. X-person is a sex pest, usually a man, or X-person is a bully, usually a woman.
The second one's the majority of Google Docs that drop nowadays. The other, number one is about maybe one is about 30 to maybe 35% of the Google Docs that drop. Two is about 60 to 65% of the Google Docs that drop.
Thus, why mean girls are hot topic trend these days.
It's because number two, the reason it happens more often is because there's more females in the VTubing space than there are males. And yeah, now that doesn't mean all the people in the first category are male. It can happen with women as well. You just don't hear about it as much as you do the male population.
And while we usually want to take the sex pest allegations a lot more seriously, the mean girl allegations are a lot more fun to talk about. Because not only can we shit on the mean girl, we can also have the right to be misogynist. The idea that Google
I see what you're doing, Depressed Nousagi. I see what you're doing.
Dockies exposing other creators being bullies are so common in this space is very interesting to me. In fact, it's a lot more common than the Twitch streamer culture. When it comes to the Twitch streamer sphere, I've noticed that people that don't like each other usually just don't talk to each other or proactively shits on them in public.
Okay, a good example of this is KSI and Dan TDM. Okay, remember the Lunch League kerfuffle that happened? KSI was trying to provoke Dan into publicly attacking him. However, Dan was doing everything he could to avoid KSI. And it worked, because it caused KSI to look like a... caused him to look like a dumbass. Or somebody who's acting... You get what I'm saying. It caused KSI to crash out hard. And when he did, it made him look stupid. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean he is stupid. It just means that he looked that way.
Beef are for the world to see and consume popcorns to. In VTubing, it's a lot more hush-hush or more passive-aggressive, especially if it's coming from a generally respected content creator. Nobody usually wants to say anything until a Google Docie comes out, then all of a sudden, like goddamn locusts, everyone...
I say the comparison works better as sharks in the water, because once your blood is in the water, people you thought you were your friend will turn around and just take a chunk out of you. Yeah, that's how it goes. Once your blood's in the water, everybody starts swimming towards it.
Everyone reveals that they actually had some bad experience or two. Everyone actually has a problem with them. And while I understand where this silence comes from if NDAs are involved, but a lot of the time NDAs aren't actually involved or aren't doing jack shit in these situations. I'm not saying...
Yeah, in the indie space, there's rarely NDAs involved at least between content creators. Now, if they sign on to like Mythic or Bishojo or any other company like GamerSupps, Advanced GG, the Dragon's Teeth, etc., there are going to be NDAs involved in the operation of business when it pertains to, because they got to protect their business. At the end of the day, that's number one priority.
saying that VTubers have more beef against each other than normal Twitch streamers, but I am saying that how they go about their beef is very unique. And one has to wonder why this is. Is it because the consequences have a splashback effect? Or is there something a little deeper?
Well, because drama gets you clicks, whether you like to admit it or not. It will always... See, drama... People like to hate things. They like having that conflict in their life. They like having the problems because it gets them attention. It gets them clicks. It gets emotional responses from their fans. They will... Which is why so many VTubers like Bao go out of their way to start the drama.
So I tried to do a little thought experiment, figure out the unique factors that makes VTubing different, and whether or not those factors would actually contribute to this very unique phenomenon. And there's really only two factors, actually three factors, that separate the regular Twitch streamer and VTuber culture. The inherent anonymity present in the roleplay and anime aspect, the fact that the industry is smaller.
Yes, the first one I will say though, is a lot of people forget that VTubers like myself, this is not who we really are IRL. It's a mask we put on for our audience. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's just fun. We're just here to have fun. For the most part, most of us are. But a lot of people are here to make money. And they're going to put on a mask to get it. It's always that, especially with the top 1% of streamers. Now, obviously, they enjoy making the content they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it to this day, or they would have moved on a long time ago to something more prosperous. But I'm going to stop talking now and let this guy talk.
And the fact that it's dominated by women. And
Oh yeah, third one's a real kicker, because this entire environment is pretty much ruled by women, by a matriarchy. And if you say anything bad about them, you'll either A, be shunned, B, if you're popular enough, they'll publicly attack you, or C, if you are too small, they'll just ignore you because there's nothing to gain from it.
come to a conclusion that it's these very same factors that actually are the reason for the bullying epidemic. Brace yourself. This is going to be a very, very weird video. But before we continue, may I interest you in other videos not meant for the peasants to see? In that case, I'd recommend you join my channel memberships or my Patreon. We have monthly exclusive bangers in there as well as uncensored versions of certain content, all ad-free. And besides, you help me keep creating bangers like these in the long term with your support. So if you have some spare change for a cup of coffee every month or something, consider giving it to me instead.
Yes, go support him. Go support this guy. He is depressed. He needs our support to stay alive. He needs our $5 and the pocket lint we have in our wallet.
Anyway, that's all. Thank you, and let's go back to the video. Okay, I am not a sexist. In fact, I am a paragon
Yes, you are.
of anti-misogyny.
Bullshit.
Believe me, I have women that are friends. Even my
I call bullshit. I'm sorry, I call bullshit on this guy.
roommate is a woman. Let's talk about the method of attack VTubers usually employ against each other. Google Dockies. As I have mentioned, a lot of rumor mongering and Google Docs that goes around men usually talk about their sex bestie behavior. The most recent big one is the case of Real Kamana, a wannabe VTuber CEO that turned out to leverage his connections, falsify or exaggerate his network to appear more authoritative and appealing to work with, and also using this perceived power to try and get under women's pants. It's very predictable, to be honest. From a sex pest freak's perspective, the logic is simple. If you want a fish, go where the fishes are. But again,
Yeah, people like that, they're very charismatic, and they know, like, they're not stupid. They know how to get in these positions to where they can manipulate people into doing what they want. You got to be careful with these people because they got there not because they were stupid or lucky. They got there because they knew how to get there. So it's best to... You got to be careful with who you interact with, regardless. Because remember, VTubers or VTuber CEO from companies like VShojo or other places like, yeah, it's just you got to be careful with these people. They're not there because they played nice for the most part. They got there because they knew how to put on an act, and they knew how to fake it to make it, which is what it takes nowadays to get into these positions of power.
Among VTubers themselves, it's that they're bullies or mean girls, and more often than not, a lot of victims of these mean girls are not who and what they usually depict they are. Oftentimes, from the many Google Docs that we've read through in the past years alone, especially accounting the responses against said docs, there is a concerning number of them where the authors of these docies are not the victims that they claim that they are. That they're not clean of the same hostile behaviors that they try to call out, or perhaps they omit information or exaggerate events.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you that the majority of these dramas with the people involved, I guarantee you that their hands are not exactly crystal clean, or not exactly squeaky clean. They have had their own dramas in the past where they've done things that are either worse or just as bad.
To paint a worse picture. This is why we've gotten a little bit critical of them. But we're not here to talk about the flawed docu creators, but rather the nature of these docus. And there's a trend that I've noticed. Most, if not all of these hostile behaviors are not necessarily done via public callouts and open verbal shitting on stream like what many Twitch streamers do. Instead, it's a lot more subtle and insidious. A little something called relational aggression, otherwise known as social aggression. It's a type of psychological bullying where instead of physical or verbal harm that men usually employ, they instead damage a person's relationships, reputations, and platform. It usually comes in the form of spreading false rumors, gossiping, social exclusion, or active gaslighting, among many others. It's basically the domain expansion of manipulation tactics. Now, men are very much capable of relational aggression, but women do it more.
Oh yeah, he's correct there. There are a lot of men who have a lot of psychopathic and, well, I guess not psychopath. I'll just call it what it is. They have a lot of manipulative problems with their mental state, and a lot of them are either psychos or sociopaths. Now, you got to be, like I said, this goes back to being careful who you relate to and who you interact with. You never know what they're hiding behind that mask. A lot of people put on a mask to show in public, but at home or behind the curtains or closed doors, they are completely different people.
And do it slightly more aggressively. Studies have shown that more often than not, women actually employ this behavior. Though I should let you know for the sake of good faith that a lot of the research about this also recognize that other factors may impact the results of these studies.
Oh yeah. A lot of women with these problems were raised by, well, have grown up in abusive environments. Maybe the vast majority of them have either grown up in abusive environments, whether that be school, work, well, not work, but school, home, or religious organizations. A lot of these people have gone through emotional abuse and emotional manipulation through these organizations. And when they grow up, they tend to pick up these things without realizing it. It becomes part of their personality.
Such as home life, school environment, and peers. Ages are also wide, ranging from age 7 to college years. Some studies also suggest that there's no real difference, but there are a lot more studies suggesting that it does, especially in their adolescence. In fact, VTubing itself should be a case study in of itself on this specific topic. In any case, let's break down why VTubing is like this. Again, there are 3 factors that make this a common trend in the industry, starting with the fact that VTubing is smaller. In a small pond, there can really only be so much food for the big fishes to eat. One of the minor issues are of the character design mixing. In terms of aesthetics, design elements that have a universal appeal are few and far between, and can leave a smaller pool of combinations for VTubers to want to use, whether they like it themselves or because they think it's the best business trend. And because multiple VTubers use these design elements, they will look at other people having the same and fucking resent them. Seriously, something that petty.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot, especially in 2025. Now, Silverveil, Spite, and Cinder are the 3 notable ones that did this. And this is one of the things I'm critical of Cinder about, is that she took issue with Spite, with Spite's design, as he will later cover here in just a second. And it's also something that Silverveil did, if I remember correctly.
Is a legit excuse for even a big VTuber to get upset. The most notorious example I can think of is legit the Silverveil, Spite, and Cinder situation, where it turns out Silverveil's audience and Silver herself, allegedly, did not like Cinder for having formerly the same design elements to a point of being, allegedly, harassed by said fans. Cinder, in turn, and failing the generational trauma check, also did not like Spite for having the same design elements. A smaller case.
Again, this behavior, I can't say for sure when it comes to Cinder. But if what Cinder says is true about Silverveil looking at her the same way Cinder looked at Spite, she likely picked this up as a part of the behavior. Like, us human beings, we pick up our behavior from the environments we are exposed to. And VTubing space has a lot of this getting mad over copying bullshit that's been going on for the past, well, since its inception, really. And we pick up as human beings, VTubers in particular, we pick up the behaviors of our environment that are present there.
Would be Powder blasting this VTuber Lily for copycatting their white-haired Violet Elf design. People will lambast on
Yeah, that was a Powder L moment right there. I will say that.
other people for looking similar to each other. Small indies tend to do this a lot more than others though. But at the same time,
I will expand upon this though. Spite kind of did with Spite's Google Doc. She kind of got revenge on Cinder. She did this out of revenge for Cinder, and you could tell because the outfit she claimed was a copy of hers was not a copy at all. Like, you can even look at it from a non-biased perspective, the design elements of the outfit she claimed was a copy. Yeah, she was only doing it out of, ironically, spite. Honestly, yeah, I will call that out. The claims that she made about Cinder copying her outfit designs were bullshit.
maybe there is some kind of olive branch I can extend to the people that do get copied or do copy. Because look at me, I'm literally named Depressed Nousagi. Even if it was supposed to just be a placeholder, I took that fucking name because I was Pecora's goonest soldier. And I took massive inspirations from Omega Alpha because she embodied everything I liked from a character design perspective and aesthetic. So I'm not necessarily guilt-free from this. But again, this is just minor. In the grand scheme of things, the copycat issue is a unique culture thing, but nothing that I would constitute as a problematic part of the industry.
Oh, I remember this situation with Shy Lily. It was back in 2023 when I first got started into the VTubing sphere. I found Cinder, and as a result, I found Shy Lily as well. And Bao came later in 2024, I believe, when they started collabing. It's all... Gotta understand, those years, the COVID era years, are all a blur to me nowadays. My memory ain't that great.
The bigger issue, actually, is that because the industry is smaller, it becomes a much more focused and tenser, connection-oriented space, where these connections become one of your most important assets, sometimes more so than your numbers. But it's a fragile and fickle thing. You can be a nexus of VTubers in one day, then a radiation-heavy zone in the next.
I will have you know, sir, I am a radioactive wasteland, and very few people are going to want to interact with me, especially from Shy Lilies, Silverveils, or any of the top 1% VTubers that are out there. I am a radioactive wasteland, and if they want to come at me for it, come on, I'm right here.
Both private and public perception can affect this network, affect what groups you are able to interact with, as well as access to sponsors and resources. What this means is that if you are not well liked publicly or behind the scenes, or have a fair share of drama on your ass that a particular group in the right spaces may not like, you are effectively barred from certain opportunities. This can be because you may not align with the girlies, or because you're a lolly, or because you've unknowingly upset someone higher in the food chain. You'll never be disappointed with how humans react when they get power. While there is that 0.01% of people that will remain humble or largely resistant to abusing that power, the gambling man will always win if they bet that they would, in some sort of way. And when the space is connections-oriented, people, groups, and companies may not be inclined to take people in just because they have big numbers. While this is a problem not unique to VTubing, connections and friends in the right places kind of thing, as it happens in any subsect of the entertainment industry, the unique factors of the space.
Oh yeah, I want to take a moment to announce to everybody that Bao is flatter than Fillion. Change my mind. She's overcompensating here with the bigger chest than her IRL.
Amplify and compound on the matter. Again, space dominated by mentally ill women with mentally ill male fans. Many people will find it easy to use the power dynamic to, for example, rob people of opportunities to take for themselves or for their own groups. Call in a favor from a powerful figure to do a little something against someone and make it so that it's not connectable to them. And for the victim, it'll hurt even more. Sometimes, you wouldn't even notice that opportunities aren't going your way anymore. You'll probably have a mental breakdown first on why acquaintances are no longer speaking with you before you even find out. This is not the only harm that comes from the space being smaller. It is also the dark side of competition. I've mentioned in my video talking about why VTubing has become so negative that the desperation that people feel to grow or maintain their size is a big part of the reason why they do things that can be seen as divisive or.
I will say this, most of these people at the top, if they have a choice between, if they see that breaking your knees with a baseball bat can get them views and likes, they are absolutely going to do it. You can bet on that they will do it. The vast majority of them will.
Volatile. That when competition becomes fiercer, people are going to be willing to do less than nice things to others to get to the top, which can include a lot of the relational aggression and backstabby tactics I've mentioned earlier, especially if they see a window where it'll be active. But what I didn't mention in that video, because I was saving it for this one, is that the more intelligent variants of these mean girls go about their desperation and insecurity very intelligently. Sometimes, all that trust and venting that you've given to a VTuber can easily get used against you. They'll pretend to be your friend, faking concern for your well-being. And
yes, this is a huge problem not only in the VTubing space, but in the workforce as well. You got a lot of people out there that'll pretend to be your friend, but at the end of the day, they're just your coworker. You can't trust them. You have to view them with suspicion, because what you say to them can later be used against you, as he just said. And whether that be to get you fired or to get a promotion that the person that your so-called friend wants, they will absolutely drive that dagger into your back and claim it's all in good fun. Or, as Cinder would put it, shoot me with a gun and claim it is all in good fun. Yep. That's her song that came out. Well, it's a cover that she did recently.
Advising you to do something that actually works against you, but framing it as positive and manipulating you to think that it's a good thing. Like what this fucker Ian did in the Obsession movie. And you best be aware of this when it comes from peers that you have some kind of similarity to or share the exact type of audience with. And whales. We've seen this kind of VTuber on VTuber violence happen a lot, especially on the medium and big Twitch indie side. Notoriously, the Cindergate situation. And believe me, it's not a very uncommon thing to do. Insecurity, envy, or some manner of ego-related hostility is so common in this industry. And often, that's all it takes for a person you've considered a friend to lie to you, turn on you, and manipulate you whether they realize it or not. And the absolute worst thing they can do to you, beyond the rumor mongering and the relational aggression, is an open attempt on your very career. Again, I have to emphasize, VTubing is small. So any medium to large scale cancellation attempt is going to be seen by anyone that aren't Hololive or Nijisanji only viewers. Even if they're a different type of audience, or that they only know the rough details, it's still enough to form a negative impression on you and thus affect your brand negatively. Of course, the obvious example of this is the Saikuno and the Cindergate situation again, which most people see not as warnings that the authors say it is, but actual exposés. Attempts on people's career, a brutal punishment and sentencing that most likely does not actually fit their crimes. And while we can argue all we want about who was in the right or who was in the wrong in both situations, I've made 2 videos about these topics already, the ultimate point here is that even flawed attempts are more than enough to form a negative impression on your brand. It's more than enough to irrevocably sever huge chunks of your network and your friendships, even if you somehow maintain your audiences or your numbers. And while yes, this does carry a risk for the accuser's credibility, the truth is, whatever repercussion they'll face for a flawed attempt isn't going to be commensurate. In the streaming and entertainment industry, whoever strikes first usually has the upper hand, usually gets seen more, and usually gets, more favors. That's just how people are. Most people would rather be told who the enemy is rather than figure things out for themselves. After all, that's not what they came here for. And in this space, often the bully can wield more power, whether that be because more people are willing to ignore it due to their sheer size and clout, fearing them, or because they'd rather believe that their Oshi/friend is a saint or something, right? By the way, that in of itself is a huge fucking problem. VTuber fans are incredibly easily manipulated. I'm gonna get into that later.
Yeah, us VTubing fans, we all share one brain cell, and it's fighting for second place. We are not that smart when it comes to VTubers and VTuber drama.
VTubing really is no different than a high school setting. With a bunch of guys fawning, clawing, and fighting for girls, it's just the kind of space that naturally forms when the major players are the way that they are. So that's one aspect of the mean girl problem in VTubing, the mean part. Now let's get to the girl part. A girl's girl is a woman who genuinely supports, celebrates, and stands by other women. In Hololive, we see such powerful examples of this because Hololive actually does a good job picking up women that aren't goddamn petty, starts drama, or schizo tirades.
Oh yeah. When it comes to Hololive and other VTubing agencies, they vet their talents rigorously. Like, I don't know the process, but I can, given the fact that they don't have that much drama, or it's incredibly rare for someone like in Hololive to have drama, or say, I guess, well, just Hololive is the standard pretty much that everybody should. That, anyways, back to what I was saying. I'm rambling. Hololive vets their talents, and I guarantee you that they have a high standard that you have to meet. Or they just have a good PR team. It could be either one of those things.
Their management also being proactively preventative also helps. What's that mean? Women are more likable under oppressive moral codes or something? And while it's funny, it's not necessarily true. It's not the reason why Hololive VTubers seem more professional. But there's a reason why even this sentiment, if only just more nuanced or worded more accurately, is a sentiment that many fans may low-key agree. Because in the indie side of things, these measures are not available. It's often up to the girls' own professionalism and personalities to keep themselves in.
I will tell you this though, a lot of the indie space lacks any type of professionalism, which mainly when it comes to Bao, Shylily, and Silvervale, that is very apparent that they lack any type of professionalism in those departments.
Check, not just in public, but also in private. So what happens when a bitch is not self-aware that she's a bitch, or knows that she's a bitch but wants to seem not to be? Well, that's where women use their curse technique called emotional manipulation. I brought up the whole relational aggression thing earlier, and now this concept of being a girl's girl because I wanted to make a point that a lot of VTubers mask being like these to really sabotage or plan something backstabby. Sometimes, they even use therapy speak to attempt to manipulate or confuse the public and their victims. And I think this happens a little way too much. Yakireso is a very notorious example of this, a person that uses relational aggression to coerce people, which even included their own roommate/editor, and also their friend Deputy Aru to doing what they want. Gossiping, manipulating, and a whole lot of typical bitch behavior, and she was one of the rising stars. People genuinely liked her. She only got caught because she was stupid, to be honest. Sisterhood and solidarity.
Yeah. Damn. He holds nothing back, does he?
In the form of collabs and shoutouts are easily used as a guise under competition. Attempts to steal viewers and whales, especially if they start DMing said whales. I know who you are.
Yeah, he knows who you are. He is currently 30 kilometers out from your position and closing fast. Run.
They attempt to integrate themselves like a lamprey into a friend group or other people's events to broadcast or promote themselves. Because when you think about it, VTubing is the prime environment for this bitchy backstabby behavior. A place with low accountability but high visibility. An anonymous place where the tools are easily accessible to spread some bullshit. And a space that also gets you a simping, almost retardedly loyal audience. In a space like this, the smartest manipulator...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is a huge problem in this space. Because he brought up the best example of this was the Cinder drama. That thing was like, as he said, it's like a nuke. But it kind of revealed that the VTuber fans of these VTubers will believe their Oshi and only their Oshi no matter what. Because of their bias perception. Now, it's just that everybody in that situation were just acting shitty because they got tunnel vision. They saw what they could gain from it, and they didn't realize the effects that were going to come of this later on.
Can stand toe-to-toe in terms of reach and clout with the most genuine creators, to a point that we wouldn't even necessarily know or will realize too late who it is. All of this is then lastly multiplied by the fact that VTubing is a roleplay heavy scene. Anonymity, an inherent side effect of anime roleplaying, can be weaponized. Mean girls are able to get away with it if they get caught once. Start an entirely new brand with a separate friend group. Maybe have your voice be an octave lower and get used to it so you don't get caught or some bullshit.
Oh yeah, I remember this bitch. I remember this bitch well.
It's just way too easy. People like Cha Cha Chela, aka Bunny Alisu, is very...
And I remember this one as well. They're both horrible people.
Notorious for this, undergoing multiple personas every time she gets caught in a bad situation. Gunpai is an even more notorious example, a mentally ill GFE VTuber who is all sorts of insane. And more recently, this girl Sumi, who recently got into a controversy for bitching and whining about why Shy Lily blocked her, notoriously having 18 plus account name changes to...
Holy shit. Hey, Depressed Nousagi, can I have some of that Jack Daniels? Because you're bringing a new depressing perspective that I didn't think was possible to this whole VTubing space.
Dodge past controversy and also had a major allegation under her belt, such as harassing other content creators for copying her and copying people herself. Their infamous deeds are covered by other channels, so I suggest you view those. These are negative byproducts of the industry's roleplay heaviness and the anonymity that goes along with it. Whereas it's easy to hold IRL streamers accountable for bullshit that they did, or easily track and warn people about them when they try to do a comeback or rebrand, in VTubing, it's a lot more difficult. Because not everyone pays attention to everyone, and people have a memory of a goldfish. And I think people started getting tired of all of this mean girl drama and bitchy behavior because of the Cindergate situation. That drama was a nuke. Even after the explosion had settled, the radiation still remained 1 year later. I think the number of people involved in that drama, the sheer pettiness displayed that respected indies and supposed professionals, and the kind of information we shouldn't have known about as audiences, really disillusioned a lot of people, regardless on whether you were Team Cinder or Team Shy Lily.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this though. When it came to Nanolith, they trusted her way too much. And because they took everything, there's only two arguments that can be made here when it comes to that. A, they trusted her way too much and took everything she said at face value. Or B, they didn't ask the questions they should have and just went with it because they would get clicks and likes for it. I'll let you decide which one it was. But at the same time, there were holes in her and Nanolith's claims from the get-go. And yeah, people like me and GVP Plays have called that out. Like there was she even admitted to doing this stuff in her Discord where nobody else could see it except her and her fans. Now, granted, nobody's going to believe that it happened because I don't think anybody actually fucking cared. I doubt Shy Lily cared. I doubt Silver cared. They got what they wanted from the situation and moved on. That's as cold as that sounds, that's how it was. Anyways, I'm gonna keep watching this.
Because it was a situation where low-key everyone kinda
Friendly reminder. That was flatter than her model. And she is flatter than Fillion.
sucked. A lot of people did not need to involve themselves in that shit.
And keep in mind, I said flat, not fat. Flat. F-L-A-T.
And why a lot of fan bases of the entire scene were also taking part of this some holy crusade in the name of their anime women. I know and agree that we should hold people accountable here, but holy fuck. I say it's radioactive because it didn't just affect the fan bases and the VTubers that were involved in that drama, it spread throughout the mainstream, spreading the miasma of doubt, planting.
Yeah, I wonder how many of these people in the coming years, Silverveil, Shy Lily, and well, everybody who was involved in that, I wonder how many of them are going to admit they were wrong, or at least have some degree of accountability for what they pulled in 2025. I say none. I don't think any of them are going to do it, because let's face it, if they were to try to hold themselves to the same standards they held Cinder to, they would never be able to compete or compare, because they set the standard so high that not even they can achieve it.
A seed of criticality against any and all VTubers that they may not be as professional, smart, and good-willed as they paint themselves to be. Google Dockies were long recognized before as a mainstay, but was really only solidified as a cultural phenomenon in the industry because of this drama. To me, it's okay if my Oshi is not wholesome or smart or is not a good role model. It's not your job to be a good role model as a content creator. It's to entertain. People shouldn't look up to any VTubers as paragons of goodwill, but they want to be for some reason. Or perhaps not. Perhaps it's not them that wants to be seen that way, but the fans insist that they do.
Yeah.
Fans that glaze their Oshis a little too hard, paint an exaggerated picture of sainthood that only a true simp is able to do. That they are where they are because they are good people. They deserve to be where they are because of their character.
I mean, it's basically, have you ever seen the show The Boys? That's basically the premise behind that, is that their PR team puts it out there that they are where they are because they were chosen or whatever, and that they are the goodest people you would ever know. But the reality is they were terrible people behind the scenes.
Putting them in a pedestal that makes them seem uncritiquable, using their disability, their mental illness, or gender or minority status to deflect.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the physical traits of somebody, whether they're a man, woman, disabled, enabled, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can still be disabled and still be a fucking terrible person. That's just how it is. Your physical disabilities have no effect on the person you are, or very little effect on the person you are. Only you can choose that.
Criticism. And maybe that's the ultimate reason why there's so many mean girls. Beyond the faults of the VTubers in the industry.
Well, there's so many mean girls because it's like you said, the environment is perfect as a breeding ground for them. That's just how it is.
Itself, maybe it's because of us too. Maybe it's because, as fans, we enabled this. People would rather defend them if they make mistakes rather than provide even constructive criticism. And such a hug-boxy space only encourages bad actors to provide criticism that is far from constructive. People would rather flatter their ego and validate emotions or actions that shouldn't have been. People would rather protect their platform, not their integrity. People have simped too much. Our favorite VTubers come from all walks of life. Nerds who got bullied for being a nerd, bullies who picked in high school, normal people who just found the concept interesting, disabled or physically/mentally ill people who saw VTubing as a viable career path. All these walks can eventually develop the kind of mean girly behavior that we've seen over the years. Some more than others, sure, but we have seen disabled VTubers be a mean girl. We have seen normal people who get corrupted and let their ego take over. We have seen bullies who got worse. We have seen nerds become the very thing that they used to hate. It ties back to what I said in the middle of this video. You'll never be disappointed with how humans react when they get power. So perhaps it's our reaction that we also may need to look out for when we see these behaviors. We need to be gentle yet firm, constructive yet critical, loving in a way that will also ground our Oshi to the earth. The kind of affection that cares about how they are rather than who they are.
Very well said, Depressed Nousagi. I don't know what.
For international.
Well, right on cue. But yes, he brings an interesting point to the table, though. Anyways, thank you for watching. Now, I will say this. Hang on. I will say this. This is just everything I've said in this video thus far is my own subjective opinion of this. This is in no way what you should believe. I suggest you make your own opinion, form your own opinions, and think for yourself. Please. For the love of God. No, wait. For the love of the VTubing space, please start thinking for yourselves. It'll get you far in life. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!